The GA Scumbag, brought to you by your hosts, Tyler Lester and Noah Lunsford. They're your crazy uncle's favorite Duke football podcast. Coming up this week, episode number 8. The guys are back following a little mishap as they were both out of town, and they wrap up the conference breakdowns, bringing you the Big 12, the Mountain West, the Conference USA, and the Fun Belt. They also dive into Duke's linebackers, Duke's tight ends. They dive into the secondary and wide receivers, and of course, break down the mailbag as always. Now, without further ado, here are the boys. Welcome in to the GA Scumbags, your crazy uncle's favorite Duke football pod, episode number 8. And apologies for missing last week, but this week we're going to combine last week's episode with the one we were supposed to do. As always, I am one of your co-hosts, Tyler Lester, being joined by the infamous scumbag himself, Noah Lunsford. And Noah, kind of a busy week for Duke football, but I know you've got some news to tell people about a upcoming guest for the pod.
Yeah, so pretty quick turnaround here for this episode when you're hearing it. It's been recorded yesterday, technically, so we'll be recording Friday night with our friends at FillTheWade. Be bringing in an in-depth podcast talking about season tickets, ticket sales, what we're doing as a collective unit to try and get more people to football games. Going to be talking about a lot of the, metrics that go into trying to bring more people to football games. We'll be breaking down the new Devil's deck, kind of getting a little more in depth on that, and also doing a little breakdown of the Rachel Demita hire, pointing out like what we think, some numbers, things like that of how things could change. So yeah, just stay tuned. Really looking forward to having those two guys on. Great fellas, and they're really excited to come on as well. So should be a banger of a time.
Yeah, like you said, and just to clarify, when you hear this, this is being recorded on a Thursday. We're recording the episode with FillTheWade on a Friday tomorrow. A lot's happened in Duke, but this episode is only going to be breaking down some of the roster and other conferences. We're saving all the big Duke news for tomorrow's episode with FillTheWade, just to go ahead and get that out of the way at the start of this episode, because there's a lot to unpack there. But on this episode, we're going to give you a breakdown of Duke's linebacking crew, the secondary. We're going to preview mine and Noah's favorite conference outside of Duke is the Fun Belt, otherwise known as Sun
Belt.
We're going to run through the Big 12, the Conference USA, and I believe the Mountain West, as well as go through Duke's wide receivers and the tight end room. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start with the linebacking crew for Duke. And since we've got a lot to go through, we're going to give you guys kind of a quick snapshot of 2 or 3 players out of each group to watch out for, shout out the rest of the guys on the roster, and then, just move on. So we'll start with the big name in the room for the linebackers, and that is, of course, Trey Freeman. Trey is a redshirt junior coming into this year. He's actually, by several different sites, been named to preseason All-ACC second team, which he's not on the ACC first team. That was released about 10 minutes ago. Duke didn't have anyone named All-ACC first team. Not really a shocker. But if there was going to be anyone, it probably would have been Trey. He has been named to the preseason Lott Trophy watch list, which goes to the best linebacker in the country. In his career already, he's played 29 games. It's a mediocre 127 tackles in 29 games, nothing major. 2.5 sacks. Last year, he was second team All-ACC, led the team in tackles, 6th in the ACC. And I didn't realize this had been this long, Noah. Last year was the first year that we've had a player that had 100 tackles in the season, going back to 2019 with our boy Joe Giles Harris.
JG.
So, Trey is definitely going to be the guy on defense this year. You're going to hear his name a lot. I'm not ruling out that he could come back for a senior year, but I'll just say this. I've seen several mocks that have him starting as a 4th to 3rd round pick this year, and I think he could play himself into the 2nd or 3rd round. I don't expect to see Trey Freeman next year, but I'm going to enjoy every second of watching Trey Freeman play for Duke this year.
Yeah, no doubt. Trey's going to be a difference maker. He's got to be a leader. He needs to, be an anchor in the middle. Great skills in the pass coverage game. Great run stopper. Just all around a awesome linebacker. So a lot to look forward to with him. Another guy to look forward to. Also a huge fan of the pod. Huge fan of the pod. We appreciate all the gassing he does for us. But our boy Nick Morris Jr., CTE Duke himself, the GOAT, by far at the spring game, definitely the best performance that he had done in his career already, as well as probably the entire defense. Just moved faster, looked more agile. Very, very good game. He's played 19 career games, kind of sparingly due to some just older cats in front of him. But every year since he's been at Duke, his PT increased. And this year, we're expecting Nick to be the one of two starting linebackers for Duke. Trey Freeman and Nick Morris playing Mike and Will. And definitely, Nick Morris is a headhunter. It's a guy you want in your locker room. A guy that's going to slam a helmet up against his forehead and scream and, snort C4 pre-workout, like that guy. That's the face you want your defense to have, like a Luke Kuechly vibe, if you will. Somebody, Brian Urlacher, somebody that's just insane. And Nick Morris Jr. fills that role, and we're really looking forward to seeing our boy out there. And yet again, Nick, we appreciate you. We're going to try to get you on. It's going to happen one way or the other.
Yeah, anyone who's listening to this pod and knows anything or has any connections with Duke and the PR staff, we're doing everything we can to get players on the pod. Duke's being a little weird and stingy about it. So give them a shout out to us. Nick, we love you. Like Noah said, we love all the support. We're doing our best to get Nick on here. Nick wants to be on here. We'd love to get Nick on here, but Duke's playing hard to get. Why would they want to share and grow the brand? But that's a different discussion. Like Noah said, going back to the spring episodes, we talked about how good Nick looked. I was there and you were watching on TV, and we both agreed, dude was like Peyton Wilson. Like Nick Morris in the spring game looked ridiculous. And if we get that kind of production, we'll be sitting good. The last one we want to bring up kind of flew under the radar. He transferred in towards the end of the portal deadline. Alex Howard, he's coming in from Youngstown State. He was committed to play for Texas A&M and the fat bastard himself, but Duke was able to pry him away. So 1-0 against Elko already. He's played in 40 career games for Youngstown State, had 142 tackles, 15 tackles for loss, 5 sacks. He's only started 16 games in his career, but I think he is a perfect sub for whenever Freeman or Morris needs to come off the bench or come off the field. You can run those three guys, and really, you could bring as good as Trey and Nick are. I don't think if Alex Howard had to come on for 2 or 3 plays here and there, you'd notice a big fall off in production.
No, I think he's going to have a decent amount of playing time. It's linebacker position in college football. There's a lot of running around, man. It don't matter how good you guys are. You're going to have at least a 2 deep. 4 guys that are interchangeable without a decent fall off. And I agree. He's you're not going to see any down spoke to that.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a really nice addition, and he'll help out the experience wise. And really, other than those 3, you talked about going 2 deep. It's really, we'll run through the rest of the linebackers real quick. It's kind of a who's who of who the 4th guy might be. You've got true senior Cameron Bergeron, Derek Brown Jr., a freshman who I think a lot of people are high on. It's just he's a freshman. Jack Yates is a junior. Clayton Burton is a grad senior. Redshirt sophomore and Carter Wyatt. True freshman Montrez Smith. You've got Dawson Andrew, a junior. Redshirt freshman Luke Murgott. Our boy, Mr. England himself, memorable factor, a junior. Redshirt freshman Kendall Johnson. And if I had
possible dark horse.
Kendall Johnson, possible dark horse.
You've heard it here first, folks.
Look, everyone timestamp this, bookmark it, put it down. If Kendall Johnson has a breakout year, Noah just called it.
I mean, boy's got that dog in him. There's something about him, man. Something about him and Luke Margot that I'm real excited about. Real excited about.
So then our last one here is Ozzie Nicholas. He comes in from Princeton as a grad transfer. More likely just a depth piece. It's you can never have too much experience in there, no
Good
matter
special teams. Special teams.
Special teams, special teams, special teams. Duke's got to get back to that, the Cutcliffe way. So really Duke doesn't lose much. Dorian Maosi, he's transferred out to Auburn, but I think Howard is a great fill in there. I don't think you'll notice a big difference between the two. So I don't think the only thing that worries me with the linebackers, God forbid someone get hurt, but say Howard, Freeman, Morris, just one of the three was to get hurt or go down with an injury, the depth kind of worries me in the linebacking room. I think our starters, excellent. The depth after that is what really worries me with that group.
Yeah, it's there's depth, but it's just youthful depth. You're gonna put a lot of faith into guys like Derek Brown, Kendall Johnson, and Luke Margot, which is a good thing because they're gonna be the guys over the next coming years. But definitely want to see them get playing time, but not in a way that's gonna hurt Duke's chances. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you nailed that perfect. So next, we're going to dive into the secondary for Duke, and we're going to break it up by cornerbacks and safeties per what Duke has on the roster. So first, we're going to dive into cornerbacks, and we'll start with unanimously QB CB number one in the boy Chandler Rivers. He's a true junior. A lot of people thought he was going to go to Texas A&M when Elko left, but Chandler showed that unlike the man who went to Texas A&M, he has a soul, a conscience. He's a good person, and he's not fat and obese. So
Yeah,
Chandler
and ugly. Fuck that ugly motherfucker.
Yeah,
I hate him. I hate him.
Never forget that poor. Rumor has it that button from Elko's introductory press conference is still holding on for dear life. That poor suit jacket. That button was clinging for dear life.
Mike Elko's clothes are literally on life support at all times.
So Chandler has played in 26 games here at Duke, 110 tackles, 13 passes broken up, 2 interceptions, and he was the MVP of the Birmingham Bowl last year, as well as being the Rookie of the Year in 2022. Obviously he's going to be the head guy in the secondary. What worries me is we're getting ready to get into some of the other guys. Duke's secondary is very young. If I think the other pieces around him will be fine, but if not, it could be a year where Chandler Rivers just whatever side of the field he goes to, they pick on the opposite side of the field all game long. I do think, me and you were both on this train. We don't like smaller DBs, and Chandler is 5'10". I think that could hurt him, when we play the Florida States of the world, the Miamis of the world, the teams that have 6'4" receivers just left and right, that could hurt us. But overall, I think Chandler's set up for a really strong year, personally.
Yeah, I've always been a hard believer that you need tall, big corners. And there's certain corners that are 5'10", 5'11", even some at 5'9", that just have enough game to make it, fair. And Chandler's one of those guys where he can compete just about with any receiver in the nation. Might get beat some, might get head top some. But he's a fighter, got great skill. Looking forward to him. Another guy looking forward to though, Big Joshua Pickett. 37 games, 63 tackles, 9 pass breakups, 1 pick. Last year, really, really solid when healthy. Looks like he's going to be, barring injury, could definitely be a solid number 2 and even takeover corner. 6 foot, that's a solid size for a corner, and just if you've kept up with Duke here recently, you've seen a lot of highlights of fall camp, and Josh Pickett's been on quite a few of them. So that's always a good sign, and expecting Pickett to have a big year.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's one of the few guys. He's been here for 4 years now. He's seen everything there is to see. I think he's going to be a nice veteran presence. Speaking of veteran presence, the next two guys we're going to bring up are both grad transfers. We'll hit. If we get the name wrong, we apologize. Please let us know. Diasa Diakite. He's a 6-foot grad transfer. Was at Harvard and then played at Robert Morris last year. 27 games played in his career. He's got 46 tackles, 4 passes broken up, 1 interception. He is 6 foot, so he's actually listed as the 3rd tallest defensive back on the team. He's going to bring some veteran experience with him, even though it's Harvard and Robert Morris. He has seen 27 games of action, which is tied for not tied. It's 2nd on the team or 3rd on the team for most games played. So it's one of those things where it might not be ACC level play, but he's going to know what to do in situations. It's just a matter of going out and doing it for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a grad transfer to look forward to. Good size, good intangibles. With his background of previous schools, he definitely embodies, the Duke standard. And another good grad transfer, one I think we're both real excited for because his tape's impressive. And when you hear where he's from, it's kind of surprising he didn't go to Texas, Texas Tech, A&M, somewhere in that Power Alamo area. But played at Rice. Name's Trayshawn Devons. Sorry if I botch it, but we appreciate it. Always let us know. We try our best, but neither of us are too good at it. But
We're not
expect
English
him.
majors.
Yeah. I was far from an English major. So, appeared in 35 games, 76 tackles, 14 pass breakups, 2 interceptions, a little low, but Rice, it's Rice. But the other intangibles in his tape, man, and last year he really came on and just looked like a good all around football player. And definitely could cover the slot corner position really well. So looking forward to seeing him get out there and jamming up some smaller guys at the line of scrimmage inside.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think that's going to be his spot. You're not going to put Rivers in the slot, so I assume that's where he's going to go. And if you can throw a guy in that's played 35 games of Division I football into the slot, that's fine. I trust Feely's going to have him bulked up and ready to go. So looking at the rest of the secondary or the rest of the cornerback room, it's nothing but freshmen. We've got Kamari Robinson, a 5'10 redshirt freshman, Vontae Floyd, a 5'10 true freshman, Landon Callahan, a 5'10 true freshman, Kyron Condell, a 6'2 true freshman, and a guy that me and Noah both love, 6'1 redshirt freshman, our boy Musa Kane.
Moose.
I'm gonna let you talk about Musa for a second if you want to. I know we both love that guy.
Moose, dude. If there's one defensive player that I'm just super excited for, and have been since this pod really got off and started, it's Musa Kane, 6'1", redshirt freshman, all the intangibles in the world, one of the better recruits we've got, in the last few years. Just dude's the truth. There's, no ifs, ands, or buts. He can just play ball. So really looking forward to him.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys where he's going to be fun to watch because when he hits somebody, we talk about headhunters. That man is by definition a headhunter. So now we're going to dive into the people that Duke has listed at safety on the roster. Obviously, the big one's going to be coming back for his final year, Jalen Stinson. Stinson's played in 49 games. For those of you that don't know, that's a lot. He's got 217 tackles, 3 interceptions, 10 deflections. He's returned 56 kicks for over 1,200 yards and 2 touchdowns. 5'8". He's one of those guys you just talked about. No, he's definitely undersized, but he makes up for it. I think this year he's going to be the leader back there in the secondary, and I think what we're going to see out of him I don't know that we'll see him play safety as much. I think we could see him float into like the Jeremy Cash role of he's going to be kind of a safety who plays down at linebacker a lot. Like you might see Jalen Stinson around the line of scrimmage a ton this year. I think he's a perfect guy to kind of fit into that role. You know, they have roles for it now. They call him a rover. Jim Knowles would love Jalen Stinson.
Yeah, 100%. Really looking forward to what Jalen's going to bring to the table for the team. Another one of those guys undersized, but it just doesn't seem to matter too often. So that's always a great thing. And another guy, somebody really due for like a good breakout year, true junior, Terry Moore. Going into his third year, he's already played 20 games, almost 50 tackles, 2 pass deflections. Just a very, very all around athlete on the football field. He's played multiple positions, running back, receiver, return kicks, does it all. But he's locked into that safety role now. And, believe with the full off season and learning from the best in the business like Manny Diaz, he's just gonna tear that place up.
Yeah, yeah. You guys, if you've gone to games, watched games, listened to games, you've probably heard his name called before because he's played damn near every position on the field. I'm glad he's finally getting. He played safety last year, and it looks like we're going to continue to let him play safety, which is good. He can finally learn a position all the way through. And I think if I had to pick one starter out of the whole defense to have a breakout year from just a starter perspective, I'm going with Terry. Like you said, he just feels due to run through the rest of this. Again, these are people listed as safety on the roster. We've got Leon Griffin III. He's a redshirt freshman. Deshaun Stone, who's a 6'3" redshirt freshman. Kenzie Paul, a 6-foot redshirt freshman. Travis Bates, a 5'11" redshirt sophomore. This one's going to be rough. Again, someone reach out to us, comment, leave us the name right. It's Placide Dejungo Sungo, a 6'1" redshirt junior. Please, someone correct me on the name.
Brother, that was rough.
Hey, you got a better pronunciation.
Nope, I sure don't. But that's a F in chat for sure.
That one's rough.
Shoot.
Kari Reed, a 5'11" freshman. Zach Jackson, a 5'11" freshman. George Wright, a 5'11" junior. And a 5'11" grad transfer by the name of Will Goldberg. Now, you might be thinking, that last name sounds familiar. And any of you guys are wrestling fans, well, Will Goldberg is related to the WWE, whatever you want to call him, the infamous wrestler Bill Goldberg. So that's fantastic news. That means he can fuck somebody up if he's got to.
Dude, imagine we're at the NC State game. And everybody close their eyes and take you on a journey. We're at the NC State game. Eli, all the gang, we're all there. They've got the wanted posters with Eli's face on them. All the wanted posters up. And, we're just having some brews. Then you see the Pike douchebag frat boys walking up. And then before they can even get there, Bill Goldberg jumps off the top of a truck and just beats the dog shit out of 15 frat douches. How cool would that be while wearing a Duke jersey? Dude, how much swag would that gain Duke? How back would we be? Would that be the peak of fan existence?
I think it would have to be. It's my dream to have Goldberg spear me at a tailgate this year,
dude.
To get a few in, and just my inner Bills fan is going to come out, and I want John Fina and Bill Goldberg to put me through a table at a tailgate.
Dude, that'd be badass. That would be so badass.
I'm content dying on the spot because I will have peaked at that moment. So. Before we break down the wide receivers and tight ends, we're going to run through the last of the few conferences before we get to our conference with the ACC. So the way we're going to do this is, again, we've got 4 to run through. We're going to hit, kind of just the 2 or 3 teams we think can make the conference championship and give you who we think is going to win the conference. We'll start with the Mountain West Conference. And for the championship, we agree that it's going to be Boise State versus either Fresno State or UNLV. We've got the Broncos going all the way to win the Mountain West. And Noah, I'll let you chime in on a little bit about Boise State if there's anything you want to inform the masses about.
Buddy, if you get ready to learn Smurf turf, is all I gotta say. So
Right.
pretty crazy. Guess what team has the most consecutive winning seasons in all of college football? Boise State University. More than Bama, more than Ohio State, more than Michigan, more in a row than any other team in the country. It's Boise State Broncos. Let me tell you something. This year is going to be their best roster they've ever assembled. The NIL money is flowing up in Idaho. Potato money talks, boys. Potato money talks. Ashton Gently, he was in a P4, literally a Heisman. Malachi Nelson, for any of you real scumbags out there, used to be a 5-star quarterback from USC, transferred into Boise State of all places, from LA to Boise. What a culture shock. Got some 5-star receivers from A&M, some 4 offensive linemen starters, 8 out of 11 defensive players back, 17 total sacks on that D-line last year. The kicker needs – Tyler, that's so scumbag. You can break down the kicker.
Yeah, doing some digging on Boise State, and probably the favorite stats that I found for us to rank up.
So scumbag.
There, and it for us Duke fans, it gives 2013 vibes all over again. Their kicker Jonah Dalmas needs 18 field goals to set the career record for made field goals ever, which is absurd to think about. And their punter who comes back, James Ferguson Reynolds, was tied last year for second place in all of the country in net punt yards. So, that does my heart good to hear that. They more or less have the best kicker punter combo. It's like having Ross Martin and Will Munday on your team.
God, that makes me want to cry.
It's just a beautiful thing. Boise's back. And
Boise's been back for 19 years.
Oh yeah. It's going to be really fun to watch. One of the other teams we're talking about down the road here, with how the new playoff works. The highest ranked Group of 5 team is guaranteed to make the playoffs. And a matter of fact, we'll go ahead and go to that next team anyways. Down in the Sunbelt, it's going to be really fun to watch the rivalry between App State and Boise State the next coming years, because they're going to be fighting every year more likely to get that one guaranteed playoff bid. And conveniently enough, folks, we have been blessed. Call the App AD and call the Boise State AD, because they agreed to schedule. They have scheduled a home and home with each other. Is it starting next year? Right?
Yeah, starting 2020. Yeah, next year.
Starting next year, Boise State and App State have agreed to play a home and home with each other.
Buddy, places I will be there.
And can we talk about the color? Can you imagine a blue out at Boise State on the Smurf turf, and that comes in wearing black and yellow? That's just gonna that's just gonna look
so hard.
Oh my God.
So hard. Dude, it's gonna be it might be the greatest Group of 5 non-conference home and home ever.
It's off the top of my head, it's up there.
I mean, that's up there. It takes some swagger. The Fun Belt, man, the Fun Belt just gets it. They just get it.
And I'm really hoping that it stays longer than 2 years, and we kind of get App and Boise, and they kind of realize this could be really fun to make a yearly game. I would love to see that become a yearly out of conference rivalry. I don't know that it would be, but that would be awesome. And speaking of App, so we do have App projected to win the Sun Belt.
Duh. Roll beer.
Spoiler alert. We've got them scheduled to play either Texas State or Louisiana. I do think the West and the Sun Belt this year is going to be really fun to watch. You've got Texas State, open. Louisiana. Troy's going to be decent again. You've got Arkansas State and the fighting Butch Joneses.
Butch Jones, scum.
So it's going to be fun to watch. But I think App's going to run through the East.
Yes,
and here's you talked about the winning season thing. Did you know that there are two teams. So since the inception of the college football playoff, there are only two teams in the country that have won 90 games and haven't made the college football playoff. App State has won 95 games, and Boise State has won 94. The next closest team is Wisconsin, who's won 84 games without a college football playoff appearance. So let that sink in.
Near.
And just some app facts for you, because why not? They're 7-1 in bowl games. They haven't had a losing season since coming up to the FBS. They've played in 4 Sunbelt championships already. They're 2-2 in those games. Little roster breakdown: Joey Aguilar, stud, absolute weapon on the football field. 3,700 yards, 33 touchdowns, and he's pretty damn fast.
Brother, Joey Aguilar is what people think Riley Leonard actually is. And I can't, there's no better way to describe that. All the hype that's ever been gave to Riley Leonard and been how good his arm talent and shit is, which is non-existent. That's exactly what Joey Aguilar is every freaking week. And, little do you guys know, Joey Aguilar is from Northern California and committed to App State, not a transfer. He chose to go to App all the way from Cal.
True.
Pretty cool dude, Joey football.
So, you've got him coming back. It's App State. The offensive line's always going to be good. However, they have brought in an FSU transfer, Thomas Schrader, who's going to play guard for them and help on the inside. If you listen to last episode, our guy Nate Noel, he's gone to Ole Miss. That one's going to hurt.
Mizzou.
He's a Tiger now. He went to follow his boy Drink. Kanye Roberts, Kanye mentioned, is going to be running back. It's going to be running back one out there now, and this is scary to think about. App's bringing their top 5 receivers back. App may damn well average 50 points a game this year. You won't stop the Nears.
Yeah, App also gets to play Liberty at home this year. A game I'm going to, because I want to see the demise of Liberty, because they don't know anything about App State. They don't know about that smoke, and they're coming up the mountain. They think that shit's gonna be a joke, and I can assure every Liberty, every little Liberty cuck out there, that you guys are hit. It's 50 to 16 Nears all day. Book it.
And, speaking of Liberty, before we get to the Big 12, we'll hit the Conference USA really quick. We've got Liberty versus Western Kentucky projected for the championship game, and we're riding Big Red, baby. Big Red and Western Kentucky are going to demolish Liberty. I think Liberty's overrated. I can't stand them. I do love Jamie Chadwell, but he's not there anymore. Or no, that's where he went. He left Coastal.
Yeah, went to Lib.
Yeah, he should have come to Duke, but some people don't think that Duke had the money to pry Jamie Chadwell away from the prestigious school that is Liberty University.
Sneak this.
Yeah, well, it happens. Folks, there's nothing more college football than Big Red, the mascot for Western Kentucky. And I was blessed. I was blessed the other day by Noah on a TikTok that Big Red, you can hire Big Red to come attend your weddings. Now, Noah is a good friend of mine, and I've already informed Noah of this. Noah may have been the best man at my wedding at one point in time. Big Red will be the best man at my wedding, and I don't care how much it costs. But outside of Big Red, Western Kentucky is actually going to be a good football team. TJ Finley's coming in from Texas State to play quarterback.
TJ Finley, Jesus Christ, what a journey!
Yeah, that man's been everywhere. The offensive line was the best in all of G5 last year, and they allowed a sack on 3.2% of dropbacks last year, which is and they're bringing 3 starters back.
I love that.
Now this is something that's going to make me cry on the inside. Western Kentucky has their top 2 receivers come back, and they're both 6'3". That just that makes me sad to think about being a Duke fan.
No,
Um, they're going to be really good, and I think they're going to win the Conference USA, and then we've got the Big 12 now.
mid.
Anyone that follows me on Twitter, I've been getting into a lot of debate with the Mid 12 fans as of late because for some reason they think that they're going to get Clemson and FSU from the ACC, and they
They couldn't
also think
afford to hold our jock straps.
they also think that they're a better conference than the ACC. Mind the fact that Texas and Oklahoma is the only reason people know that conference even existed in the first place. Um, nothing says a premier football conference like Kansas, UCF, West Virginia, Cincinnati, Oklahoma State, TCU, Texas Tech, Kansas State, and Utah. Man,
Don't forget the big bad Colorado.
Oh yeah, boy,
Dion and the boys getting ready to go 5-7 this year.
that is a scary conference, man. I'm so glad that Duke's not in that conference because, man, then we might win every game and we'd be insufferable then. So yeah, the Big 12 just sucks. Like, you're not a good conference. Quit acting like you are. You're below the ACC, and that's an embarrassment in and of itself because the ACC sucks. Like you're trying to get Oregon State and Washington State and celebrating that. What the hell have they done? Nothing. So it's laughable. That being said,
it's a joke of a conference.
That being said, we're going to take the Mormons out of Utah to win it. Cam Rising, you've probably heard the name. He's back for his 87th year in college. He was a senior when Noah was born, but he's still playing. They're going to be good. Utah always plays defense. They've got 9 starters back on that side of the ball. Cam Rising was a Heisman candidate last year. He's back. Utah would win the ACC probably if they were in the ACC. They're going to win the Big 12 because that conference is just laughably bad. So that's the Big 12.
Incoming Big 12 meat riders telling us how Avery Johnson at Kansas State's a dark horse Heisman and how Mike Gundy's going to do anything other than go 9-3 every year. Ooh. What the fuck's Texas Tech done? Nothing.
Ollie Gordon's been arrested 3 times, and Mike Gundy won't do anything about him. I think he's trying to,
People forget Lubbock even exists.
God, yeah.
If it wasn't for that one hot chick on Twitter, I wouldn't even care about Texas Tech.
The Big 12's claim to fame now that Texas and OU is out is they got beat by 75 points in a national championship game.
Shoot.
That's their claim to fame now, is that Georgia boat raced TCU by 85 in a championship game one time.
Boat raced, for sure. So, that was the worst game ever to watch.
Yeah, so, congratulations on losing by 85. Meanwhile, we had Clemson, who beat, the greatest Alabama team of all time. We had Florida State in 2013, which may have been the best college football team I've ever seen in person. But, yeah, you guys can have your national championship runner-up. That's fun.
Yeah, they like to think that just because they're in the Midwest of all places, they have more money. I'm like, that's not how it works, bud. You guys don't get it. You can't outbid the ACC. Do not worry about the ACC. We never wanted to try and be the Big Ten or the SEC, but we were always going to be the third conference. There was no debate. We never wanted to try and compete with 1 and 2, but we always knew we were going to be 3.
Well, it's funny. People talk about, the Big 12 fans all say, oh, if Clemson and Florida State leave, the Big 12 is going to raid the ACC. And actually, it would be the other way around. Clemson and Florida State aren't going anywhere unless they fork up $500 million apiece, in which case, we'll gladly take their money. If they leave, the obvious thing is, if you're West Virginia, are you going to stay in the Big 12 making less money and traveling to Texas and California every single week? Or are you going to accept an ACC invite and stay on this? West Virginia would be a great ACC addition
stupid
if we ever expanded again. That would be such a great pickup. All right, that's enough on the Big 12. They don't deserve to be mentioned anymore. Barry Bumgardner would be a Big 12 fan, though. that would check out.
Fuck you, Barry.
Yeah, it's a little straight at Barry. It's football season. Barry's already making ice cold Twitter takes or Facebook. He doesn't know what a Twitter is.
We can't fill up general admission. Why would they take seats out? What a dumbass.
Yeah,
we'll get into that tomorrow night.
We're gonna drag Barry through the mud tomorrow for sure.
Noah's heater of a lifetime comes tomorrow.
So before we get into the mailbag, we'll hit the offensive side of the ball for Duke and go through the tight ends and wide receivers. We'll hit the tight ends first. Not much to break down here. Duke's only got 5 tight ends on roster, which was shocking because had Nicky Dalmolin not come back, we'd only have 4 on the roster.
That's crazy.
And I'm so glad Nicky's coming back. I love he's a great guy. But I'm also glad he's finally going to get to play tight end because Kevin Johns was just a dumbass and wouldn't use tight ends. Yeah, he made Nicky do nothing but block all game long, and Nicky's a damn good pass catcher. In 41 games played, he's got 54 catches, 480 yards, 5 touchdowns. But I think also the other thing that's big, looking at it, our tight end room outside of Nicky, who's a grad senior, we've got a redshirt sophomore, redshirt freshman, and a true freshman. So like Nicky's going to be, Nicky's unk to these guys this year. And he's really gonna,
brother. They're gonna wonder why Nicky ain't on Indeed right now, my man. I love bro, but to these guys, he is the grandpa.
Yeah, like they're gonna be asking Nicky what 2013 Duke was like.
They're gonna ask Nicky to get him booze for sure. Hey man, go get me a case of Bush.
But poor Nicky had to play through 2 years of Kevin Johns, who didn't know that a tight end was a real position on the football field. It felt like.
That probably took 10 years off his life.
Yeah, but thank God, Coach Brewer's here now. Nicky's finally going to get, to have fun, and I think
the truth will set you free, Dalmolin.
I'm going to make a bold prediction right here and say that Nicky Dalmolin leads Duke in touchdowns this year. I think Duke gets to the red zone a lot. I think Bleak Murphy is going to love throwing to Nicky a lot, and I think Nicky's going to lead the team in touchdowns. I've said it. I stand by it. Bookmark it. And make fun of me when it doesn't happen.
Yeah, we got another dog. You're gonna see a lot of 2 tight end sets, and not because we're blocking, not because we're blocking. It's because why not have big old tight ends out there to catch the ball? How about our dog, Jeremiah Hasley? Shout out Daryl. Shout out Pops Hasley, GOAT, fan of the pod, friend of the pod. We appreciate it. Jeremiah. Redshirt sophomore, 17 games. Just got converted to tight end last year from a linebacker. Only had 5 catches, 42 yards, 1 touchdown. Thanks, Kevin Johns. Yet again, that's the Kevin Johns effect. How can you possibly make sure no tight end has any stats? Kevin Johns football. It sucked. I hated seeing those guys not get the chance. It was just so ass. And now
RPO
we're past that. But Hasley is like a very Noah Gray kind of guy. Also reminds me, kind of it could possibly be like a Braxton Devo. Nice build, got some attitude, got some swagger, can really ball, good athlete. And you're gonna see that guy out there. Probably, I'm saying he gets probably at least 4 or 5 touchdowns this year. Maybe about 200 yards, 250, all around, maybe more, I think that's the minimum. So really going to be a huge upgrade for him this year.
Oh yeah. And like you said, known football terrorist, aka RPO merchant, Kevin Johns. He went with Mike Elko to Texas A&M. So the A&M fans that complained about Jimbo's offense and it not being creative and efficient, buckle up, fellas, because it's getting ready to get worse. The last 3 tight ends, Jake Taylor, a redshirt freshman, Vance Boyard, redshirt freshman, who I think is probably the best one out of the 3 to pick for a breakout year, and then Brett Elliott, true freshman. So very young, very thin at tight end. And now, conversely, probably Duke's best room on the whole team, wide receiver. We'll start with Jordan Moore. He's going to be a true senior this year. And again, going back to what we talked about earlier with the ACC stuff coming out today, Jordan Moore got 3 picks to be ACC preseason player of the year.
Crazy. Love that.
That's, shout
Shout
out to
out
the 3
Steve
people.
Wiseman.
Yeah,
Shout out Steve Wiseman for real.
Steve Wiseman and whoever the other 2 were. Maybe Connor O'Neill. I don't know if Connor gets a vote, but if Connor got a vote, I assume that he probably did that.
Yeah, that's a Connor O'Neill thing to do, fellow scumbag.
Yeah, shout out Connor. He writes some good stuff for, I believe it's Devils Illustrated.
Indeed, it is.
So, Joe Mo, he's going to be he's preseason All ACC second team on several media sites. In 36 games at Duke, he's got 122 receptions, 1,500 yards, and 13 touchdowns. If I had to pick one guy to go for 1,000 yards, it would be him. But again, I think Malik's just going to spread it out all over the field. But I do think he's going to get the most catches, the most targets. He's going to be that reliable guy that Malik's going to look to on every third down situation. Anytime Malik drops back, he's going to look for Joe Mo first. I just think that something that's going to hamper him is just there's so many receivers this year that are legitimate threats that it's a good thing because they won't be able to double him, but it's also going to hurt him in the sense of, there's just too much. There's not enough ball to go around in the receiving room this year. Like someone's going to get the short end of the stick.
Yeah,
But I don't think it'll be him.
Yeah, I think Joe Mo's going to have a good year. I just feel like Murphy's going to pass for so many yards. It's going to be they can all tack up some high yardage totals. But really looking forward to a guy, Javon Harvey. Man, if you haven't, just watch the tape, man. It's so much. Oh man, you guys remember that like 2013 Duke _football _videos on YouTube, Jamison Crowder edit. It's like that. It's like there's Samara behind it. It's just like he played at Old Dominion. And also, yeah, earlier we were talking on the defensive side of the ball, the linebacker, Alex Howard, that flipped from Texas A&M. Javon Harvey was also committed to Texas A&M in the portal and then went to Duke. So this ain't no scrub. Ain't no scrub shit. 38 games, 70 receptions, 1,000, about 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns, and a very run-heavy option offense. So those numbers are pretty stellar in those regards. Dude has just got some burners and great hands, control, body control, high point the ball. Like if you just watch the tape, you're just gonna be like nut. I hope he wears a good number this year for sure. I wish he could wear number 3.
Yeah, it's just, man, he's going to be fun. He's as close to a true playmaker as Duke's had in some time. Like he's going to be fun to watch. Absolutely electric. If you're putting up numbers like that at Old Dominion, this isn't a slight to Old Dominion because they beat Virginia Tech every year.
What the fuck's a Hokie?
Yeah, they beat Virginia Tech every year, but still to put up numbers like that at Old Dominion, a program that I think has gone to 1 bowl game since coming to FBS.
It was the famous Toastery Bowl.
Yeah, that's impressive. Next guy we'll bring up is old Eli Pankold. Eli is a grad senior. He's coming in. He's going to be the guy that gets the jump balls. He stands at 6'3". He's only played in 44 games in his time at Duke. 70 catches, 912 yards, 5 touchdowns. If you remember last year, he missed all the last season. He got hurt. He hurt I think it was his leg, but Duke called it a lower body injury in the spring and never got to play at all last year. And really, he's never had a chance his whole time at Duke to be the guy. Like, he's always been the guy behind the guy. But I think, someone's got to be that guy. But Eli's one of the few that he's stuck around instead of going somewhere else. And he said, I'm going to stay at Duke and wait for my time. And I think that was last year, unfortunately. And then he got hurt. And, Joe Mo had the ridiculous year he had. But I think he's going to complement really good with Harvey, Samir, and Jomo in the sense of he's 6'3". Like, you got Harvey and Samir, who we're getting ready to touch on. They're kind of, your burner guys. You stick on the outside, just throw it up, let them go, catch up to it. Jomo's going to be the sure-handed guy you look to on third downs. And Eli Pankel's that guy you throw the goal line fade to and say, jump. That's going to be Eli. You just let him go grab it. So I think he's going to play really well this year off of the other guys. And I'll let you bring up, Samir, whose dad, by the way, we can talk about Samir's dad in a minute. That man hates Mike Elko.
Oh man, true hater and knower of ball for sure. And like no Facebook hater is the cool part.
Yeah.
When you hate on Facebook and like, thank God, dude, I deleted it because that group just was so I couldn't deal. I knew what was getting ready to happen with football season. And I knew everything that like me, you, and Eli, and Jarrett, Chandler, and everybody posted was just gonna get constantly spat on by the elders. I was like, I don't want to do that this year. And but I do miss. I love the Samir Hagen's dad screenshots of him literally just still losing his shit in there. So fresh. It's refreshing. But Samir, redshirt junior, 30 games, 62 receptions, 665, 5 touchdowns, good kick and punt returner, very explosive on the outside of speed, a little undersized, 5'10", might not go for a ton of catches a game, but he can really go out there and make some tough plays over the middle, good hands, holds on to the ball. Also very good on like stop and go routes or slant and goes, just anything like that. He's got great route running ability. It really shows off.
Yeah, I remember 2 years ago still when we played Wake and Sam Hartman, and I believe it was Samir
Sam Hartman.
I believe it was nightmare fuel. I think it was Samir that called like the game go ahead touchdown with like a minute left, and then everybody that was kind of the end of the year and everybody was hyped up. And last year, just kind of whether it be because of the offense itself or Jomo having such a good year or Kevin Johns, the football terrorist, he just never really had the year I thought he was going to have. But I think this year he could kind of break out again simply because he's going to be the fourth option. Like, you're going to have to put attention on Jordan Moore. You're going to have to pay attention to Harvey. You're going to have to pay attention to Payne Cole. You've got to pay attention to Nicky. So, like, Samir could be that guy who thrives off of everybody else demanding attention. And to wrap up, the rest of the receiving room, shocker, it's young. Redshirt senior and Duke highlight tape master, John Tavis Robertson. If you follow Duke's Twitter, he's going to be on there once a week making some stupid catch that has no business being made.
Bobby Boone, well-known hater.
And speaking of catches that people make that should get posted on highlight films, John Tavis actually makes cool catches, unlike Casey Conception, who made like one wide open, uncontested catch.
No, you just don't know ball, bro. That was the hardest catch ever.
Oh yeah, me and you could have went out there and made that catch blindfolded, but yeah, every state fan in the country is drooling over that impressive catch.
Dude, running routes on air are hard, bro.
Yeah, but John Tavis actually makes cool catches. We've got Nick Lampert, a 6-foot senior. James Hobson II is a 6-foot grad transfer. Our boys Chase Tyler, who's a 6'2" freshman that we both really high on.
Love Chase Tyler.
Our boy Sean Brown, a 5'8" redshirt freshman out of East Forsyth. We both, we're high on both of those two guys.
Forsyth Balla.
Absolutely. We both love both of them. Jaden Moore, a 5'8" freshman. However, I haven't heard an update since he got hurt in the spring. I don't
he out for the year for sure.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if you see him. It's probably a medical red shirt or a red shirt right there. Spencer Jones is a 6'4" redshirt freshman. There's a big guy for us. Akiva Moss, 6-foot freshman. Charlie King, 5'10" freshman.
Well-known 8-man football player, Akiva Moss.
That's right.
Yeah, for those that don't know, he actually played in a California league where there's only like what is it, Tyler? 7 guys on the field.
Yeah, you just play 7 on 7.
or like 6-man football, something like that. Three
It's
linemen, a quarterback, and something like that.
yeah, dude, it's wild.
Yeah, it's wild. Got a ride to Duke. Good for him.
We've got Bo Lilly, the third, a 6'2 sophomore, and Paxton Kettering, a
Dude,
6'4 true freshman.
what do we know about Bo Lilly? Where's Bo? What is Bo Lilly? That's sick. I mean,
You
I feel
know,
like a casual, but like, I
hey,
mean,
me and you both. I went down Duke's roster and I was, looking at all the wide receivers and putting them down for us. And I was like, I've never heard of a 6'2 sophomore named Bo Lilly the third. He just sounds like a baller.
what do you mean, Bo Lilly? I
He's got
love
he's got
that.
one of those he's got one of those names where it's like that guy just sounds like he could play ball.
Oh, dude. Oh, yeah. Number 87, wearing old McCaffrey's number from Dallas, Texas, Highland Park High School. That's crazy. 2023 Offensive Scout Team Player of the Year. Uh-oh, folks.
Hey,
Is it a Bo Lilly breakout season?
I
Is it a
believe it might be.
Let's
It's bow
let's
time.
let me list off some stats here. Thanks, GoDuke.com. Later 3 years, Highland Park. 24 receptions, 569 receiving yards, 8 touchdowns. During his final year, that was all in his final year. Accumulated 869 all-purpose yards during his senior season. 3 state consecutive playoff appearances. Second team all-district. That's crazy. Highland Park, Dallas. District teams at Dallas are like making an NFL roster. And also lettered in track and field. 100 meter sprint, dude. Holy shit. Um, broke the Highland Park 100 meter record with a 10.8. Sheesh. I think that's burners
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
for a 6'2" white guy. I'm pretty sure a 10.8's hard. Yeah.
That's that's not an easy feat to pull
Is
off
this a
right
Bo?
there.
Is this a Bo Lilly podcast?
I believe we've just become one. It's bow time, guys.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
It's bow time. Like we're gonna have to reach out to Bo and talk to him. And God forbid we bring a player on the pod, but we're gonna have to try and pull some strings here and get Bo and Nick on together because
Dude.
I think we've just become a Bo Lilly podcast. I think that's the wave here.
Dude, I love Bo Lilly.
So last thing we'll do is we're gonna, per usual, we'll bring in the mailbag and no shocker here. Everyone, of course, delivered. We'll start with our guy Chris McLaughlin at Chris M Durham, and he says, "Is tight end Jeremiah Hazley is good in real life as he is in EA college football 25? If so, we are going 12-0." And Chris, regretfully, I haven't played as Duke still. I've played games, but not whole seasons. Uh, But I'm going to say yes. We're big Jeremiah fans. Before Nicky came back, he was going to be the guy, and we were both extremely excited with Hazley. So I'm going to say yes. He's as good as he is in the game. Sadly, I'm still in the middle of grinding out a Boise State dynasty. We just turned down a job from Notre Dame because we have class and like Mike Elko.
Man, what a coach. What a coach. Sticking with his guys.
Yeah, Coach Mike Hunt. He can't leave. He's a Bronco for life. Uh, our next one we'll go to our boy Krim. And if you guys don't follow Krim, give him a follow on Twitter at Krimroy12. The guy just banger after banger. He single handedly took on Clemson's whole fan base one time for fun. He decided at like 1 o'clock in the morning last night he was going to get into a fight with BYU's fan base.
Dude, that was insane. Waking up to that was crazy.
Yeah,
One of the crazier group chat like wake up calls I've ever seen.
yeah. I was just kind of watching TV and I checked my phone before I went to bed. And I just see Krim like going at BYU fans for no reason whatsoever. I was like, oh no.
Dude picked a war with like one of the biggest fan bases of just holy nerds. And he
Yeah,
was throwing it at their face. He called Joseph Smith a predator.
yeah. He was.
I mean,
He
dude, he
wasn't.
was all over him.
He wasn't pulling punches. Um, so Krim says Diaz and Packy's defense is both huge on tackles for loss. With the linebackers we have right now, will there be anyone who has a better season than they historically have because of this heavy blitz offense? I believe he meant heavy blitz defense. I'm going to call him out for that in the group chat later.
Oh, at Garrett Robertson.
We'll have to get Garrett on that one. And then he says, how will the secondary do having to hold their own in man? I'm worried about the secondary. As far as will there be anyone who has had about, I think we both agree that we think Nick Morris is going to have a better season than he's had statistically in the past. Especially if Nick plays like he did in the spring. Like if Nick played like he did in the spring, he might have a better season than Trey. Just going to be honest with you.
Yeah, Nick is 100% like the CTE Blue Devil. I believe it. And like you gotta have that guy. You gotta have that guy. He's the glue you never knew you needed. He's that guy. He's the grout that goes in the tile. Like he's that tough son of a bitch. And
He's going to get
yeah,
he's
I
going to
mean,
get 3 targeting calls this year.
dude, he's gonna have to sit out for at least like 3 or 4 first halves. Like he's just got to pick and choose when he does that.
Our boy BSBL, one half of the BDC, says, is Oregon State and Washington State a lock for the Mountain West title game? No, that's Boise State's to lose. And he says, can Kansas State or Utah win the Big 12? And earlier we both agreed that Utah is going to win the Big 12. The other half of BDC.
K State might play them, but Utah's gonna win it.
Yeah. Speaking of Garrett, our boy Garrett Robertson, love Garrett. He's from Philly. He likes Philly sports. Don't love that about him.
Got swept.
Noah just swept the Phillies as we're recording this. So
dude,
been a
they
rough
lost
time.
they lost to just DJ LeMahieu on
that was like wild.
the third game of the series, 12:40. Start time
and everything.
DJ LeMahieu batting 117 on the season, hits a grand slam, then a bases clearing 2-run double, and single-handedly outscored the Phillies to win it. So Garrett, suck my meat, loser. Fuck the Phillies. I hate Philadelphia sports.
So I'm going to loop Garrett's question in with our boy Bobby. Bobby Boom, known John Tavis Robertson hater. So first thing Garrett says is, do we see tight ends getting more involved in the offense than they were under Elko? Feels like they were wasted under Elko. And Bobby's question is, not a question, but could you please highlight how amazing Nicky could be in this offense? Kevin Johns hated tight ends, used him for just the 6 linemen. Very excited he came back for this vertical offense. Kid has wheels. So they kind of just reiterated, the sentiment that we shared earlier in the sense of Kevin Johns is a football terrorist and hated tight ends and hated Nicky for whatever reason. We both think Nicky and Jeremiah both are going to thrive in this offense because Brewer is fun, creative, and not a domestic terrorist. Let's see what's next. We'll go with our boy Ryan Parsons, New York Blue Devil.
Just
Ryan. Yeah, Ryan's one of the best fans there is. Oh, this is scummy. What Mountain West stadium would you like to visit the most? Ooh.
Fuck.
Ooh.
So the clear and obvious answer is Boise State, but that's cliche because everyone wants to go.
That feels like you're cheating. I'm gonna. You know what? I'm gonna say Wyoming. Josh Allen went to Wyoming.
Son of a bitch, that's a good call.
And I'm gonna say Wyoming. I'm
gonna pull a banger. I'm pulling a banger. San Diego State.
Ooh.
Pulling a banger. San Diego State. I wanna go watch a little Aztec football.
Ooh, and they just got a new stadium too.
Yeah, I think it's pimped.
Man.
And the weather in San Diego, perfect.
That's true. The weather in Wyoming's gonna be cold and miserable.
Yeah, but dude, it's Wyoming. That's like going to see a game at Montana State. Like you just have to do it.
Oh yeah.
Like, there's nothing more I want than when I'm like 40 to take a Big Sky college football season and just go hit games up in the Pacific Northwest and Big Sky region. Go to Montana State, go to South Dakota State, go to Jackrabbits game, go watch
Gotta go to the Fargo Dome.
Go watch the Vandals play at the Kibby Dome. Go to Wyoming. hit Wazoo, hit Oregon State, hit Oregon. Like, dude, that's the dream right there. That's
If
the
Idaho
dream.
was still around, the Kibby Dome would be the easiest answer of all time for that question.
Fucking love Kibby Dome.
Yeah, but like you said, Boise State's obviously like the number one, but everyone says that, so I feel like we had to give different ones there. And our last question of the day, Jason Rogers, love Jason. Shout
J.
out Jason.
Raj.
Shout out Cash. Cash is an awesome Blue Devil fan. Jason was nice to us. That doesn't happen often. He says, first off, congratulations is in order to you guys for providing us information on Duke and other conferences. And he says, if Duke has a 9-win season, would Feely have an endless bag of money elsewhere? And then he says, would Duke make Feely the highest paid strength coach? So Feely could probably walk into whatever job he wanted to if we won 9 games this year, but that won't happen. Feely's only going to leave, I think, if Manny leaves, and even then, I don't think it's a certainty. I think Feely genuinely loves being in Duke, and he loves Durham. And he worked with Manny at Miami, and then he got here before Manny got here, and I actually think Feely had a lot to do with Manny's recruitment. That's speculation that I don't have any insight to. I just think that could have been the case. I don't think we have to worry about Feely leaving. I'm more worried about Manny leaving. Me and Noah both agree on that. If James Franklin ever gets fired from Penn State, I'm going to be scared until they hire a coach. Other than that, I'm not really worried about. I think Feely's here for a long time, and I do think he should already be one of the highest paid strength coaches if he's not already.
I feel like he is. I feel like we just don't know the numbers, which is cool, but I feel like he's got to be one of the highest paid guys.
Duke doesn't put out their salaries for coaches, so it's hard for us to figure out who's making what. But he would have to be. And if he's not, then
dude, big game emergency pod plug. Big Game Boomer put us as his second to last favorite ACC fan base. Folks, those are rookie numbers. We ought to be last. We ought to be last.
I did tell him to sit in the wood chipper yesterday. That may have been with the ranking.
And he had to. I don't know what he blocked Krim for, but Krim won't tell us. But man, I tell you what, if for Big Game Boomer to pull the block trigger, what he said must have been just awful.
Yeah, I don't think anyone on this pod or anyone that listens to us ever wondered. We are not a Big Game Boomer pod. We hate that, mindless idiot.
Of all the people that have to die in plane crashes, like why was Big Game Boomer not involved in one of them?
Yeah, every time I hear about a crash or something sinking, I'm just
like, please be Big Game Boomer.
I pray that Big Game Boomer just doesn't tweet soon after that. That way, I can at least hope it's him, and then he'll tweet immediately, and it's just
he's the Zach Hampel of college football.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Yeah.
What a
fucking cuck and cuck.
I just he has no redeeming quality. The man claims to love UNC. He loves NC State. He bashes Duke. And if you want to bash Duke basketball, I get it. That makes sense. But the Duke football bashing, outside of the 5 of us, what has Duke football ever done to anybody besides, help them win?
Honestly, I think we're just so awful. Like the 37 of us that are active on Twitter, I think we just have the worst reputation.
I bet if we added him to the Facebook group chat, we'd be put second. I feel like he would love Barry Bum.
Oh, dude, he'd be like, this guy gets it.
Him and Barry would love to sit down and have a beer together. And they wouldn't even drink beer. They'd probably just piss in each other's mouths.
Have a fucking pop.
Yeah. Well, guys, like I said, first off, this is episode number 8. I want to shout out everybody. We've had the Twitter. We've only been active for 5 or 6 months now, and we've recently hit 500 followers on Twitter. Actually, we sit at 519 right now. The YouTube's gotten up to 40 subscribers. We're averaging like 75 viewers a video. You guys have been awesome in supporting us. The Duke fan base, other college fan bases have kind of helped us out some. It's been really cool to see how fast this has taken off. But please, make sure you follow us on X at GA Scumbags, YouTube GA Scumbags. We're on TikTok. Our boy Krim helps us out and makes all of our TikToks for us. He does a cool job over there.
Social media chair, Krim.
Yeah, give the TikTok a follow. If not for us, to help Krim out, make him feel a little bit better about himself. Jesus. We just got on Instagram, same handle as everything else. And this video, when you hear it, it should be posted Friday morning. So by the time you're listening to this, odds are the interview with FillTheWade will also be out. Make sure you give that one to listen right after this, because on that one we dive into the new locker room Duke just got, the new Devil's Deck edition, our GOAT Rachel Demita, and we dive into season tickets and the Duke fan experience. So until then, DDMF.